Hi guys, hi beautiful people, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. And yes guys, I have a lot to discuss in this my post pageant analysis for Face of Hope pageant that took place over the weekend. Yes guys, I'm just recovering from the from the amazing experience I had at Face of Hope on this past Sunday. It was a very wonderful experience, and I would say that I did not regret going to that event. Like seriously, I did not regret it, and I really hope that I'm going to have that experience again. Okay, so yes, this is my post-pageant analysis for Face of Hope pageant that took place over the weekend, and you guys know that our dear Dami, Queen Dami Lola Bolarinde won the pageant, and there's a lot to discuss. Okay, so if you want to continue watching, don't touch that dial, keep on watching. I said, I attended Face of Hope, and it was very amazing. And yeah, the red carpet started at about 7 o'clock according to the time that they gave to us. But when I got there, I think I got there after 7 or so. We were told to stay outside till they opened the gates for the event to start. To about 8:30, yeah, about 8:30, the doors were open and we went in to the hall, and it was very beautiful. I love the design. I'm going to be showing you guys clips of the design of the hall. It was very beautiful. I love the design. I love the stage. I showed you guys a glimpse of the stage on Instagram. Please, if you're not following me on Instagram, go to my Instagram page. Okay, go and follow me, Abe Crystal TV. I did a lot of I posted a lot of events on my Instagram page. Okay, so of course most of you must have seen how the hall looks like and all that, from my own point of view. All right, so yeah, it was a very beautiful decoration. The lighting was perfect. The stage, the runway was perfect. Okay, I loved the runway. It was it was a very amazing and wonderful production. And close to where I sat, there was like a projector where if you don't have a better view of the stage, you can watch it from the projector. So I had two views. I was watching the projector, I was watching the stage. Okay, so it was an amazing experience for me. I loved it. I loved the fact that the stage, the lighting, everything was on point. Face of Hope did not disappoint us. Okay, it was a very interesting event. The only thing I did not really like about it was the time frame. We didn't start on time, so the event took about 5 hours. And I got back at around. I got back home at around 4 a.m. Okay, so it was really exhausting for me because I had to walk. I had to walk. It was a work day, but all the same, I really loved the experience. It was very beautiful. I loved it, and yeah, I would like I said, I want to experience it again. Yeah, so let's go into the event properly. The ladies came out on the opening number. And they had very beautiful dresses. I got to see the girls coming down from the stage, walking down to the backstage to get prepared for the next event. So my dears, it's not easy being a beauty queen, because as soon as you're done with your own show, you're going to backstage, you're changing for the next event. Okay, so I would say kudos to the ladies. Okay, it wasn't easy. Most of them were out of breath, walking the stage, coming down, going to backstage, coming back again to do it was a lot. Like seriously, at some point, when they were passing, we were waving at them and all that. But at some point, I really felt bad for them, because I'm like, these ladies are really trying, going backstage, preparing again, walking the runway, going back. It was not really easy, So I would say, yeah, it was a very one-on-one experience. It's good that I went there, I saw things for myself, and I was able to say, okay, this is how it looks like. This is what happens, behind closed doors and all, So I would say, like I said, kudos to the ladies. After the opening number, they had the traditional costume, which I would say was a very beautiful segment. Like I saw a lot of beautiful colors. I love that when the girls were coming on stage, with their traditional costume, and they were illustrating, or they were explaining, their costume. Okay, they had a voice over, played while they were coming out in their costume, and they were describing their, traditional attire. I loved that part very well. It was very beautiful. I loved it, and yeah, that was the segment that I really liked. Okay, so the best in traditional costume went to Miss River State. She really deserved that best in costume, because a lot of work was put into that costume. Like seriously, I loved that costume. The costume generally was beautiful. We had about 23, 21 ladies, I mean 22 ladies on stage. Okay, so it was a very beautiful event. I loved the costume, personal costume especially. Then after that, we had a lot of activities. Hosts. I got to see Luis Boteles and Bisola Ayola in action. I loved the both pair. And I love the fact that Louis wore the agbada and cap, okay, and in fact, he was given a name, Oluwa Louis. Yes, I believe that Louis had a very, a good, a wonderful experience here in Nigeria. And I got to see the Queens, Miss International and her professional up in person. They were the judges, and also Mr. Mon Ami, one of the, he was one of the judges too that joined Miss International and her professional up as judges. Okay, we just had 3 judges, on the judging panel. Okay, so that was fair enough. So it was a very, very wonderful event. Like I said, there was a lot of performances by MC Galaxy himself, Waje, Jody, traditional dances, and it was a very, 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 very wonderful event. Like seriously, I got my money's worth, coming to that pageant. Like seriously, I really loved it. And the red carpet event, everything was on point. I saw, I met a lot of people, actors, people that came to support their candidates, family members. I sat at the Lagos fans stand, okay, Lagos State fans stand. That's where I sat. Okay, it was closer to the stage, and I will tell you guys, like, the love for Dami was much. Like seriously, anytime Dami appeared on stage, the cheers from the crowd, especially where I was sitting, it was much, guys. The noise from the crowd, as soon as Dami stepped on the stage, it was much. Like seriously, and I sat, at the fan area, and Miss Lagos fan area. So it was a lot, and yeah, I would say that Dami really tried. She put in a lot of effort in this pageant, and I'm really happy for her win. I'm happy that she won. Another person I was rooting for too was Anambra. Anambra did a lot. She tried. She was effortless on stage. She, of course, you guys know she's an actress as well. So we had a lot of her colleagues on the stands, cheering her on from the audience. A lot of our Nollywood colleagues, they were there in the audience to cheer her on. It was a very, 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 very interesting event, I would say. So yeah, next was the evening wear, and it was very beautiful. Like seriously, most of the girls came out in beautiful evening wear. But I would say that Miss Edo, I was shocked with Miss Edo's choice of gown. Like seriously, what was that butterfly at the back? Like, I don't really understand. Was it butterfly? Is it that she's going for prom or whatever? In fact, a lot of people had things to say, in the crowd. Like seriously, it was very, very funny, sitting at the crowd, with the chairs and with the what would I put it, like with the chants and with the with the visuals from the crowd. You could tell that we had a lot of funny persons. They were making funny comments about Miss Edo's gown and some other gowns as well. But I would say that Miss Edo's gown was disappointing for me. Like, I did not understand what she wore. Like seriously, it was disappointing for me. Anambra really, really deserved the best in evening wear. It was beautiful, and Dami came out, wowing us in that dress. Like seriously, I was really, really proud of her when she came out in that glittering, beautiful dress. Said I'll give it to Anambra. She did very well, and I will give it to she really, really deserved the best in evening wear. So now it came down to the top 12, all right, and it was very, very interesting. The only person that did not make it from my list was Benue State. Benue State did not make it from my list in the top 12, and also after the top 12, they were cut down to top 6, okay, and they were asked Q&A questions. In fact, the top 12 was made to say their opening statement, and I was disappointed with Miss Nasarawa because I was not expecting her to be faking cry on stage. Like seriously, say what you want to say, but be emotional, but don't be too emotional about it. I think that was what really cost her a spot in the top 6, because she was just, I don't know if she was crying or she was emotional. She could not even speak. I was disappointed with Nasarawa because I was really, really rooting for her to get to the top 6, but she disappointed me, like seriously. Anyways, yeah, I think that was my disappointments for the night. Although Dami too actually did not really answer the first question. She was telling the story, and they were giving time frame to make their opening statement. Okay, so she was not really able to finish up her statement, but I was really glad that it did not affect her placing in the top 6. Okay, so that was that for Dami. I really loved the fact that she answered a second question very well, to make up for the first one. And yeah, all in all, the ladies did very well. The surprise for me was Sokoto. I was not expecting Sokoto to get that far, like seriously. But she really delivered. I think it was a well-deserved placement for Sokoto. And yeah, I think those were the surprise for me. Then Akwa Ibom too. Akwa Ibom went far as well. Another disappointment I had was Abia not making it to the top 6. Akwa Ibom made it, but sorry, Abia State did not make it to the top 6. Okay, so I think those were the little disappointment I had. But at the end of the day, I feel like judges knew what they were looking for, and it was a fair judgment. It was a fair judging. At the end of the day. Alright, so guys, like seriously, I really enjoyed this particular pageant, and I'll say congratulations to Lagos State. I was really happy with her win, and also congratulations to Anambra State, Genevieve. She's the first runner up of the pageant, and also she won a whopping sum of 3 million naira, an endorsement deal, and also she's going to be traveling with Dami to Japan for Miss International. Okay, all expenses paid trip to Japan with Miss International. So definitely, I think at least it was a win-win for everybody. Nobody went home empty-handed. Even the other ladies as well. I'm sure that they are going to go in with a lot of other endorsements. Okay. Another surprise of the evening was when Miss Enugu performed that pole dance. It was very interesting. I loved it as well, and that was her talent. Okay, that was the talent that she performed during the prelims. Okay, so I loved her performance as well, and yeah, that was it for the night. It was a very fulfilling show, and for those of you that watched it on YouTube, guys, you would have, in fact, you would, I will not explain it, I cannot explain my experience, being there live than watching it on YouTube. I think that, being there live was like an experience that you cannot have again, It is an experience that you cannot equate with watching it on YouTube. So, like seriously, I really enjoyed, attending this particular pageant, and I would say kudos to the organizers, kudos to MC Galaxy, kudos to the entire team. You guys did a lot. You guys outdid yourself. Bringing international queens. Putting Nigerian pageantry on the map again. Like seriously, I would say kudos to MC Galaxy, the entire crew, the entire team of Face of Hope Pageant, the organizers, and everybody the sponsors as well. The sponsors, everybody came all out for this particular pageant, and I would say kudos to everybody. Yes, guys, this is my opinion. This is my post-pageant analysis. And I would say there's something I observed too that I want to talk about before I end this particular analysis. Some of the fans were too toxic. They were bullying on other states. Okay, and I would say that when you're coming for a pageant like this, it's important that you support your own, but do not bully the other person. Okay, I would say that to the fans of the top contenders. Okay, I don't want to mention names, but whenever you're supporting your representative or your candidate, do not bully the others. Support your candidate in peace and not bully the others. I saw a lot of bullies, from some of the fans on stage, in the hall, in the audience, and it wasn't nice at all. Okay, so please, let's desist from bullying, those that are not us, we're not supporting, or the states we're not supporting, or the candidates we're not supporting. They all put a lot of effort into this pageant. Okay, so let us, focus on our candidates, support them, and not bully, the other candidates. Okay, that is just my own observation that I observed whilst in the audience. Yes, guys, so that is it for my post-pageant analysis for Face of Hope Pageant. And yeah, like I said, kudos to the organizers. And yeah, if you have a contrary opinion, or if you have any observations, put it down in the comment section, and I'll see you all in my next video coming up very soon. Bye.